Aslam. Continuing Osama bin Laden's Al-Qaeda. During the same period on Saudi Arabia, bin Laden gave many public speeches about the Afghan victory, the failures of the Saudi government, and an impending Iraqi invasion. The Saudi government became concerned by his activities and placed a travel ban on him. After the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, bin Laden was distraught that the Saudi government had sought and received Western government's help. Consequently, bin Laden met with several religious leaders and began to round up recruits. The Saudi government then attempted to stop his activities. As a result, bin Laden used his connections to leave the country for Pakistan. After a very short period in Pakistan, he went back into Afghanistan. So this is probably the time where he arranged for his safe house, where we caught up with him. There he tried to work out a settlement between the warring factions, battling for power, while gathering support for a new jihad. During late 1991, after his efforts at mediation in the Afghani civil war had failed and several reported attempts were made on his life, bin Laden left for Sudan. Here again, when he left for Sudan, he probably made further connections as to where his safe house would be. Bin Laden was attracted to the Sudan for several reasons. First, the strict Islamist ideology of a new regime under the National Islamic Front appealed to him, and the regime sought his help. Here again is described in the Quran that the Arabian community is the best community to follow. Now here we have a new regime under the National Islamic Front. So we have another group of people who have formed this National Islamic Front, where the Quran states that the best community to follow is the Arab community. And the regime sought his help. Also, there was an opportunity for a plethora of construction projects, including major highways, ports and airports. Bin Laden set up several new companies in the Sudan which would take on these projects, but would also be used to provide income to support Al-Qaeda's activities and serve as a front to transport weapons and men. He also found employment and homes for several hundred Arab Afghans whom could not or would not return home after the jihad upon Afghanistan. Now him doing you this favor doesn't make him an innocent man, or doesn't make him a friendly person, or doesn't make him a sane friend to listen to just because he's giving you out of his pocket to make friends with you. Anyway, moving on. In Sudan, bin Laden set up an Al-Qaeda headquarters in the Riyadh section of Khartoum. It is reported that bin Laden funded and had remote, if not direct, involvement in several terrorist operations on Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Somalia and Egypt. Now here it states in the book, whether this is correct or incorrect, I leave the judgment to all you who have the evidence. If not direct involvement in several terrorist operations in Yemen and Saudi Arabia. Here it says Saudi Arabia. In the Quran it is written, on the Holy Land, if there are people, it's roundabout, it says this, it like this, it's not exact words. Al-Ghafur Rahim, if I'm wrong. Saudi Arabia, on the holy soil, if there are deviators from the path, they should be sought out and killed. Do you understand what I say? In the Quran, this is what Mr. Laden is saying, that all over the world there are deviators. However, the Quran says around the holy lands, if there are deviators who seek to pollute Islam, they should be found and killed wherever they may be. Now this Osama bin Laden is saying they're all over the world. All over the world, wherever you find them, kill them. The Quran does not say this. The Quran sets forth. The Quran is like this. The Quran is revealed on Saudi Arabia for the whole world, obviously. However, the Quran states, if any violate the holy place of worship, find them and kill them wherever you see them. Like people who worship idols, if they arrive around the holy places. You should find them and kill them. This says this. It does not state, does not command, does not give instruction to find them all over the world and kill them liberally. If they come to pollute Islam on the Holy Land, we deal with them. Now here it says several terrorist operations were found, Yemen and Saudi Arabia. Now we can monitor them in Yemen, we can monitor them in Somalia and Egypt, as well as World Trade Center bombing in New York, monitor them around New York. But however, if they're on Saudi Arabia, on the Holy Land, around the inviolable places of worship, around the inviolable place of worship, they must be killed. Wherever you find them, you must kill them. It says that in the Quran. Right, moving on, Egypt, and as well as the World Trade Center bombing upon New York. Among other bombing incidents, unless they can ransom themselves. If they can ransom themselves, you can let them go. If they change their mind, they don't want to do this terrorist activity and save their souls, save themselves, then that's it. One can forgive them. Simple as this. If they come to Saudi Arabia around the inviolable place of worship and they're carrying a gun and they're walking around the Kaaba, what do? You got to deal with them before they kill 10, 20 people. Other innocent people. So you have to deal with them before they attack you. You must deal with them. At various times while in Sudan, bin Laden and other members worked to put aside the differences with the Shiite Muslim organizations and try to unify them under Al-Qaeda against their common enemies. Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda had talks with some elements within the government of Iran and the terrorist organization Hezbollah. It is believed that bin Laden sent members of his group to Hezbollah camps in Lebanon to receive training. It is reported that while living on Sudan, Saudi intelligence botched several attempts on his life. The Saudi government froze his assets sometime around 93 and publicly withdrew his Saudi citizenship 94. Osama was denounced by members of his family. After his public denunciation, bin Laden formed the Advice and Reform Council (ARC) as a political arm. Through the ARC, bin Laden and his associates published several statements condemning the Saudi and Western governments. See, now this should never have gone to press. These whatever statements they made, they should not have been broadcast. Whatever they advertise, whatever they publicize, just let them be publicized between us, between the police, the Qanun, us, Qanun, and them, Qaeda. You know, if they want to publish, if they want to tell people about anything, don't let it get out into the public, because then other people can view this material. It's a free publicity for him. He can say, well, they can say, publish something, and members of the community will see this. We don't want members of the community who are innocent or guilty, we don't want them to see this. If they give you something, it's for us, it's for the Qanun, it's for the law, it's for the police. Whatever you have from them is for the police, not to publicize. Because the world doesn't want to know about this. We want to know about it so we can stop it. If they say something, it could trigger groups to become members of their organization. By 1996, the Sudan was under extreme international pressure for hosting bin Laden and his followers. The Sudanese government, desiring to lift the embargo against the country, asked bin Laden to leave. He then relocated back to Afghanistan. Since his return to Afghanistan, he has issued several public statements, including a declaration of jihad against the United States and several. This is what I'm saying. This is all done and dusted, but I'm saying future, including a declaration of jihad against. Who's he telling? You know, if they are giving a false declaration of jihad, which I don't believe on, and no one who's with me believes this global jihad declaration. We don't believe this declaration, and they're giving a statement. Who's it for? Who wants to know? If a criminal is saying something, who's it for? It's for us police. It's not for public. It's not for we, the media, the police. We govern, determine whether what the criminal is saying will be fed into the world. The world doesn't want to know what some criminal is saying. We want to know, the police want to know. If they're threatening us, if they're threatening the world, is it better if they threaten the world, or is it better if they threaten us, who are the police, who have means and methods? So it's better if they threaten us, not the whole world. Well, thank you very much for listening. Have a nice day.